The galaxy was wide, filled with thousands of stars, but few burned as brightly in the eyes of the Varric people as the battlefields where they proved their honor. For the Varric, battle was life and victory was sacred. Among them was Commander Scifi, a warrior whose name carried weight across sectors. She was tall, strong, and carried herself like one born to command. Her armor shone with marks of past victories, and her soldiers followed her without question. On this day, Scifi stood aboard her flagship, the Iron Fang, staring out at the small human fleet that dared to oppose her. She had faced great empires, crushing pirates, and rival warlords. Never before had she fought humans. To her, they were a young species barely stepping into the stars, still clumsy and fragile. Conquering them should have been easy. Humans, she said with a tone of amusement to her second-in-command. They think their small fleet can hold against us? I almost pity them, the officer bowed. Commander, they are brave, but bravery cannot stop steel. Scifi's lips curved in a thin smile. She believed the same, and yet as the human ships formed their defense, she noticed something strange. They did not fly in neat lines like most fleets. They shifted, broke apart, and regrouped quickly. It looked messy, almost chaotic, but the humans always managed to cover one another. The battle began. The Varric ships surged forward with power and discipline. Lasers and plasma fire lit the darkness of space. Explosions echoed through the void. At first, Scifi felt certain the humans would crumble. But then something unexpected happened. The human ships fought like hunters, not soldiers. They laid traps, retreating suddenly only to spring forward when Varric ships gave chase. They turned asteroids and debris into shields. They used speed instead of raw power. Scifi watched closely as a single human ship, marked with the insignia of a captain, darted through the battlefield with uncanny precision. Who commands them? Scifi asked sharply. Her officers searched. A human captain. His name is Elias Ward. Elias. Scifi remembered the name. Reports had called him a strategist, someone who turned weakness into advantage. She narrowed her eyes. Bring me to him, she said. Hours later, after heavy fighting, fate gave her the chance. A boarding skirmish brought her face to face with Captain Elias Ward on a ruined mining station, orbiting the contested world. Scifi stepped forward, her blade drawn, her armor towering. Elias, by contrast, stood with only a combat suit, a simple sword, and eyes that did not show fear. You are the commander? Scifi demanded. I am, Elias said. His voice was steady, calm. He looked at her not as prey looks at a predator, but as one fighter sees another. Their duel began. Scifi struck first, her blows heavy and precise. Each swing of her blade echoed with the strength of her people. Elias blocked, stepped back, and dodged with care. He did not try to meet her strength with his own. Instead, he waited, watched, and moved with patience. Scifi grew impatient. Fight me properly, she roared, slamming her blade down. Elias twisted aside, letting her strength bury the blade into the floor. In that single moment of imbalance, he disarmed her with a swift strike. His blade hovered near her throat, not cutting, not cruel, just enough to show the truth. The silence that followed was heavier than the battle outside. Scifi's pride screamed within her. No Varric commander had ever been defeated by a human, and yet here she was on her knees. Her people's code was clear. When defeated honorably, one swore the oath of obedience. It was binding, sacred, older than their star charts. She lowered her head. I, Scifi of the Varric, swear the oath. My conqueror commands me until my death. I am yours, Elias blinked in surprise. He had not expected this. You don't have to. I must, she interrupted firmly. It is the way of my people. My honor demands it. From this moment I follow you. Elias studied her. Many in his position might have laughed or taken advantage, but he only sighed and lowered his blade. Then follow me, not as a slave, but as an ally. Stand at my side, not beneath me. The words unsettled her. No conqueror had ever spoken like that. When the duel ended, news spread quickly. The Varric fleet, shocked that their commander had been defeated, withdrew from the battle. The human forces, battered but standing, claimed their victory. Among them walked Captain Elias Ward, and behind him, silent and watchful, followed Scifi, the once proud Varric commander now bound by her people's sacred oath. She did not understand the human yet. She did not understand how he had beaten her, or why he offered respect instead of chains. But her oath was clear and her path was set. Where he went, she would go. Whatever he commanded, she would obey. And so began a story the galaxy would never forget. the tale of the alien warrior who followed a human everywhere. The oath had been spoken, and once spoken it could not be broken. Sarika of the Varric was now bound to Captain Elias Ward, the human who had defeated her in an honorable duel. For Sarika, this new path was heavy with confusion. She was a commander who had once commanded fleets, but now she followed a single man, an alien of a species she had barely respected before. Elias did not boast about his victory. After the duel, he returned to his duties as if nothing unusual had happened. But to everyone else, the sight of Sarika walking behind him was impossible to ignore. When Elias entered the command center of the colony, all eyes turned. Engineers, officers, and soldiers paused in their work. Whispers spread through the hall. A Varric commander, one who had once struck fear into human fleets, was now following their captain like a shadow. Some looked at Elias with pride, others with unease. Some looked at Sarika with open suspicion. A Varric warrior among them was like a predator walking through a flock of birds. Sarika noticed every stare. The Varric did not mind being feared, but she hated being pitied or distrusted. Still, her oath was clear. She walked behind Elias, silent, steady, refusing to explain herself. That night, Elias spoke to her for the first time without the noise of battle. They were aboard his ship, the Resolute Dawn, preparing to leave the colony. "You don't have to stay close every moment," Elias said, glancing back at her. "My oath demands it," Sarika replied firmly. "You swore to follow me," he said, "but I didn't ask for a prisoner. I don't want you chained by words you regret." Her amber eyes narrowed. "You misunderstand. The oath is not a chain, it is honor. To abandon it would shame me and my people. I will not break it." Elias studied her. She stood tall, proud, as if daring him to challenge her decision. At last he nodded. "Then I won't stop you. But if you follow me, you follow by choice, not command." The words puzzled her. Humans were strange. Most conquerors in the galaxy would have forced her into service, making her a symbol of their power. But Elias seemed uncomfortable with the very idea. The days passed as the Resolute Dawn traveled between colonies. Sarika learned how humans lived in space. Their ships were smaller than Varric war vessels, but they were clever in design. Every corridor, every system had been built with efficiency in mind. Humans were resourceful, turning little into much. She noticed how they argued often. Officers debated strategy with Elias. Engineers disagreed about repairs, and soldiers spoke freely of their concerns. To a Varric, such behavior would have seemed disorderly. In her culture, a commander's word was final. Yet among humans, disagreement somehow made them stronger. At first, Sarika remained silent, standing like a statue near Elias in every meeting. But slowly she began to see patterns. The humans would argue fiercely, then unite quickly once a decision was made. Chaos became unity. Weakness became strength. Elias too surprised her. He did not command with loud orders or threats. He listened, considered, and gave direction with calm certainty. He noticed the smallest details, cared for every soldier, and carried the weight of his choices without complaint. One evening, while the ship drifted between stars, Sarika joined Elias in the observation deck. He stood by the wide glass, watching the endless void. "You still don't trust me," Elias said quietly. Sarika crossed her arms. "Trust must be earned. Have I not earned it? I spared you when I could have ended you." "You spared me because killing me was not useful," she replied sharply. Elias chuckled. "You think like a Varric. Not everything is about use. Sometimes we spare others simply because it's right." His words struck her, though she tried not to show it. Among the Varric, mercy was seen as weakness, but Elias spoke as if it was strength. Their conversation ended when an alarm sounded. A distress signal had been detected from a nearby mining outpost. The Resolute Dawn set course immediately. When they arrived, they found the outpost under attack, not by Varric, not by pirates, but by a new threat. Unknown raiders with advanced weapons had struck the miners, holding them hostage for supplies. Elias prepared a strike team. Sarika armed herself at once. "You intend to fight?" Elias asked her. "My oath is clear," she said simply. The strike was swift. Humans fought with determination, their movements sharp and coordinated. Sarika joined them, her skill unmatched. Her blade flashed in the dim corridors of the outpost, cutting down raiders with precise strikes. For the first time, she fought not against humans but alongside them. The miners were freed, the raiders scattered. But what struck Sarika most was how the humans treated the miners afterward. They gave them food, water, and comfort, speaking with kindness rather than pride. In Varic culture, civilians were protected, but never with such gentle care. Later, Elias thanked her. "You saved lives today," she tilted her head. "We fought together. That is all." But inside she felt something strange. Pride, not in herself, but in the humans she had once dismissed as fragile. Still, many humans remained uneasy with her presence. Some soldiers whispered that she might turn on them. Others avoided her gaze. Only Elias spoke to her as if she were more than a weapon bound by an oath. Days turned into weeks. Sarika continued to follow Elias everywhere, into meetings, onto battlefields, through long, quiet nights aboard the ship. Slowly, she began to see humans in a different light. They were not weak. They were not simple. They were something else entirely. Something unpredictable, something enduring. One night, she asked Elias a question that had lingered in her mind. "Why do you fight? What drives your people?" Elias answered without hesitation. "Because the stars are dangerous. If we don't protect each other, we won't survive. Humanity fights not for conquest, but for tomorrow." Tomorrow. The word echoed in her thoughts. The Varic fought for honor. Humans fought for tomorrow. Perhaps that was why they endured, even when the galaxy doubted them. As the ship prepared for its next mission, Sarika stood by Elias once more. She no longer followed only because of the oath. Something deeper was forming within her, a respect she had never expected to feel for a human. Yet she did not know that a greater danger was coming. A danger that would test not only her oath but the strength of all humanity. For now, she followed Elias everywhere. But soon she would learn that following him was not only her duty, it was her destiny. The days of travel through the stars passed quickly for the resolute Dawn. To Sarika, each day was a test of patience and discovery. She was a Varic commander without an army, following a human captain who confused her more with every choice he made. Elias Ward was calm, steady, and strangely humble for a man who had defeated her. Sarika had grown used to following him into councils, missions, and even quiet hours. But now a shadow began to spread across the galaxy, one that made even her strong heart restless. Rumors came first. Refugees carried tales of attacks beyond the borders of known space. Whole settlements had gone silent. Traders whispered of fleets that appeared without warning, leaving only ashes behind. At first, many dismissed the stories as pirate raids or old enemies returning. But then the truth revealed itself. The name spread like a storm, the Kyr Dominion. The Kyr were not like the Varic, who sought honor in combat, nor like humans, who fought for survival. The Kyr were something older, colder. They did not conquer to rule. They conquered to consume. Worlds were stripped of life, people taken as slaves, cultures erased without mercy. When the first official reports reached human space, the council called for urgent meetings. Colonies feared invasion, small fleets prepared for defense, and into these tense halls walked Elias Ward, with Sarika following silently at his side. The council chamber was crowded with human leaders, admirals, governors, and representatives from far colonies. Their voices clashed, filling the air with arguments. "We cannot face the Kyr with our fleet so small," one admiral said. "We must protect our own colonies first," argued a governor. "No," another shouted. "If we fight alone, we will be crushed." "We need allies." Sarika stood in the shadows, listening. Among the Varic, such chaos would have been unthinkable. A commander's word was law, and no one dared argue once the leader spoke. But here, humans argued endlessly, each voice demanding to be heard. She leaned close to Elias and muttered, "Your people waste time. While you argue, the Kyr advance." Elias did not look at her. "It's not wasted. Every voice matters. That's how we decide together." Sarika frowned. "It makes you weak." "Maybe," Elias said, "but it also makes us strong." "You'll see." When it was his turn to speak, Elias stood before the council with quiet strength. "We cannot face the Kyr alone. We need allies. Even those who once stood against us must now stand with us. If we do not unite, humanity will fall." His words stirred the chamber. Some agreed, others rejected the idea. "The Varic will never fight beside us," one representative said harshly. "They despise us." At that moment, Sarika stepped forward, her presence silencing the room. She removed her helmet, revealing her sharp eyes and proud face. The sight of a Varic commander in the human council was shocking enough, but her next words stunned them further. "I am Sarika of the Varic. she declared. "I follow Captain Elias Ward by oath of honor. And I tell you this, the Kir are a threat not just to humans but to all. If you stand alone, you will be destroyed. If you unite, you have a chance." The council was shaken. Many stared in disbelief. A Varric commander speaking in support of a human? It was something no one expected. After the meeting, Scifi confronted Elias. "Your people will not trust mine. They will not fight beside us, maybe not yet," Elias said. "But when the Kir come, they'll have no choice. Fear can divide us, but it can also unite us." Her thoughts turned heavy. She had sworn her oath to follow him, but she could not imagine her people ever obeying a human's command. For the Varric, honor was above all, and to them, humans were still young and untested. The test came sooner than anyone expected. A colony at the edge of human space sent out a desperate distress call. The Kir had arrived. Their fleet descended like a storm of shadows, their weapons cutting through defenses with terrifying ease. The Resolute Dawn was among the first ships to respond. Elias stood on the bridge, calm but focused. "Prepare the fleet. We hold the line until reinforcements arrive." Scifi watched the Kir ships appear on the display. They were dark, angular, like predators made of metal. Their movements were precise, efficient, without hesitation. She felt a chill. The Varric valued strength. The humans valued will, but the Kir valued nothing but domination. The battle began. Human ships moved swiftly, darting in and out of range. But the Kir adapted quickly, cutting off escape routes, pressing their attack with relentless force. Explosions lit the darkness. Colonists screamed over comms for protection. Elias gave orders with steady calm. "Shift formation. Protect the transports. Don't chase them. Make them chase us." Scifi joined the ground team defending the colony itself. The Kir soldiers were unlike any enemy she had faced. Cold, silent, their weapons humming with deadly energy. They advanced without fear, without hesitation, like machines. Yet she saw humans stand their ground. Farmers, miners, and soldiers alike took up arms. They fought not with elegance, but with determination. They stumbled, they bled, but they rose again and again. At one point, Scifi found herself cornered with a group of human soldiers. The Kir pressed hard, their fire cutting through walls. A young human soldier trembled beside her, fear clear in his eyes. "Stand firm," she told him sharply.
I'm not a warrior," he whispered. "You are human," she said, gripping his shoulder.
"And I have seen what humans do when they refuse to fall. Fight." Something in her voice lit a spark in him. He raised his weapon and fired, joining the others. Together, they held the line until reinforcements arrived. When the Kir finally retreated, leaving behind ruins but not victory, the humans stood bloodied but unbroken. Scifi walked among them, her heart conflicted. She had sworn her oath to Elias, but now she felt something more. Respect, not only for him, but for his people. That night, as the survivors rebuilt what they could, Scifi stood beside Elias. He looked exhausted, but resolute. "You see now," he said quietly. "They are not weak. They will never stop fighting." Scifi nodded slowly. "Yes, they are different. Your people are like fire. Small, fragile, but when threatened, they burn brighter than any star." For the first time, she admitted to herself that following Elias was no longer just an oath of honor. It was becoming something deeper. She was beginning to believe in him, and in humanity. But the battle was only the beginning. The Kir had tested the edges of human space. Next time they would strike with full force. And when they did, Scifi knew the galaxy would have to choose. Stand divided and fall, or unite under a banner no one had expected, the banner of humanity. The Kir Dominion had returned, and this time they came in full force. Human space, once considered remote and safe, was now the center of a storm. Entire colonies had vanished without warning, leaving only smoke and silence behind. Alarm sirens blared across the Resolute Dawn, and every human ship scrambled to respond. Scifi stood on the bridge beside Elias. Her Varric instincts were alert, every sense tuned to danger. Yet she could not help but feel a strange awe at the human fleet. They were small, yes, and their ships lacked the raw firepower of the Varric or the Kir. But they moved with clever coordination, using the terrain of asteroid belts and magnetic storms to their advantage. Elias spoke calmly, though his voice carried the weight of command. "Form defensive lines around the colonies. No ship gets through without facing us first. We cannot let fear spread. We hold the line. Sarika's amber eyes swept the fleet. You are asking them to fight monsters they cannot hope to defeat. They are not monsters, Elias said firmly. They are humans, and humans have a way of turning impossible into possible. The first wave of Kyr ships approached, dark and jagged, like predators of the void, their weapons fired with terrifying speed, cutting swathes through human defenses. Explosions shook the fleet, smoke filled the void, and alarms screamed across the bridges. Sarika sprang into action. Her blade, energy shield, and combat instincts made her nearly unstoppable. She led squads through damaged colonies, defending civilians trapped under debris. The humans fought beside her, not with her strength, but with their determination. Miners lifted heavy beams to block corridors. Engineers rewired defense turrets mid-battle. And soldiers improvised weapons from whatever they could find. At one point, a massive Kyr assault team boarded a critical colony. Sarika and Elias were among the first to respond. The Kyr warriors advanced, their movements precise and cold, eliminating anything in their path. Sarika met them head-on, her energy blade striking with deadly speed. But for every enemy she cut down, two more seemed to take its place. You cannot fight them all alone, Elias shouted. I do not fight alone, she roared, spinning and deflecting another strike. Elias grinned briefly, seeing the fire in her eyes. Good, then follow my lead. He darted through the chaos, guiding human squads in unexpected ways. He led civilians to safety while coordinating counterattacks, always one step ahead of the Kyr. Sarika realized something she had not before. Humans were not just resilient. They were adaptive. They could learn, improvise, and react faster than any military training could prepare them for. Together, Sarika and Elias rallied the humans. Their coordination turned the tide in pockets of the battle. Where Kyr forces pressed hard, humans countered with traps, diversions, and fearless courage. Sarika's presence inspired them. When they saw a Varric warrior standing by a human captain, hope sparked in their hearts. Hours passed like minutes. Explosions, screams, and the smell of scorched metal filled the air. Sarika fought tirelessly, her movements precise, her strategy as sharp as any Varric general's. She began to understand that fighting alongside humans was not a weakness, it was strength amplified. At the height of the battle, Elias made a bold move. He led a small squad into the heart of the Kyr command ship. Sarika followed without hesitation, cutting a path through the enemy ranks. Inside, the Kyr leader awaited, a massive armored figure, cold and unmoving. The humans hesitated, fear showing in their eyes, but Sarika stepped forward. To reach him, you must pass through me, she said, her voice ringing like steel. The Kyr leader attacked. Sarika met him head-on, her blade striking sparks against his armor. Elias and the humans coordinated strikes from different angles. For every attack, the Kyr adapted, but human ingenuity and Sarika's skill kept them in balance. Minutes stretched into hours. Exhaustion set in, but neither side gave way. Then, with a combination of human tactics, Sarika's strength, and Elias's leadership, the Kyr command ship was breached. Explosions tore through the vessel, forcing the Kyr to retreat. The battle ended with humans standing among the ruins of their colony, battered but unbroken. Sarika looked at Elias, his uniform torn and his face streaked with grime, yet his eyes shone with calm determination. You led them well, she said quietly. Elias shook his head. No, they led themselves. I only guided them. Sarika nodded slowly. For the first time, she understood what he meant. Humans fought not because they were trained, not because they were strong, but because they refused to give up. They refused to be conquered, no matter the enemy. As night fell over the devastated colony, Sarika walked among the survivors. Humans were helping each other, comforting the injured, rebuilding what they could. She realized that humanity's greatest weapon was not their ships, their weapons, or even their strategy. It was their will to survive and protect one another. And beside her, always was Elias Ward. Not as a conqueror, not as a master, but as a leader who inspired loyalty, courage, and hope. The Kyr had tested human resolve, and humanity had passed. But Sarika knew this was only the beginning. The stars were still dangerous, and the Kyr would return. But now humans and she were ready to meet them, stronger than ever before. The battle was over. The Kyr had been forced to retreat, though not without leaving destruction behind. Human colonies bore scars and fleets were diminished, yet the people were alive. They had fought, adapted, and survived against an enemy thought unstoppable. Scifi walked among the humans with a new understanding. She had followed Elias out of duty, but now she followed him because she believed in him. His vision of courage, resilience, and unity had changed her. The council gathered to discuss rebuilding and the future. Leaders from distant colonies spoke of alliances, mutual defense, and preparing for the Kyr's inevitable return. When Elias spoke, his words carried authority tempered with respect. We have learned that strength is not measured by size or firepower, but by determination, courage, and trust. Together we can face anything. Scifi stood quietly beside him, no longer just a shadow. Her presence alone sent a message to all who doubted humans. She, a Varric commander, had sworn loyalty not to a conqueror by force, but by choice and respect. Later, in the calm of the observation deck, Scifi approached Elias. Stars stretched endlessly beyond the glass, a reminder of how vast and dangerous the galaxy truly was. "You honor your people by fighting for them," she said softly. Elias smiled faintly. "And you honor yours by fighting with them." Scifi paused. "I swore my oath because of honor. Now I would follow you even without it. I see that humans fight for more than themselves. They fight for hope. That is a power no enemy can overcome." Elias nodded. "Then you are no longer just following an oath. You are standing with us because you believe." Scifi considered this. In her people's culture, honor had always been about obedience and victory. But here, she had found a new kind of honor, one that was earned, chosen, and shared. Word of the Kyr defeat spread across the galaxy. For the first time, humanity was seen not as a fragile newcomer, but as a rising power capable of defending itself and inspiring others. Varric emissaries who had once mocked humans came to see the truth. Humanity's courage and determination were remarkable, and even the proud Varric could not ignore it. Scifi returned to her people. She expected censure or disbelief, yet when she recounted the battles and the unity she had witnessed, the Varric listened in silence. They saw a truth they could not deny. Humans were stronger than appearances suggested, and honor could take many forms. The Council of Varric elders approached her with a solemn bow. "You have served your oath well," one elder said. "You have honored both your people and the humans. This is something new, but it is honorable." Scifi felt a weight lift from her shoulders. For the first time, she had a sense of peace. She knelt before Elias once more, not as a conquered warrior, but as a chosen ally. "My oath remains," she said, "but now it is not only for honor. It is for what we can build together. For tomorrow, for humanity, for the galaxy." Elias placed a hand on her shoulder. "Then we will face whatever comes next together." And so the alliance was forged. Humans and Varric, once separate and even wary of one another, now stood united. They would rebuild, they would prepare, and they would face the Kyr when they returned. Scifi looked out at the stars. The galaxy was vast, dangerous, and unpredictable, but she no longer feared it. With humanity, with Elias by her side, she felt hope, a hope that burned brighter than any star. The story of Scifi and Elias became legend, not as conqueror and conquered, but as equals who taught the galaxy that courage, loyalty, and determination could overcome even the greatest darkness. And humanity's light, once small, now shone across the stars, inspiring all who witnessed it.